Welcome to Schweitzer Drive, a podcast where we explore what goes on between the generation of electricity and the light switch. Join Dave Whitehead as he interviews the entrepreneurs, innovators, and experts who are inventing the future of electric power.
Welcome to Schweitzer Drive. Today we're exploring how artificial intelligence, once the stuff of science fiction, is now transforming the way we live and work. My guest is Wayne Manuel, Chief Information Officer and Chief Security Officer at Avista, an investor-owned utility that provides electricity and natural gas to more than 770,000 customers across 30,000 square miles in the Pacific Northwest. We're going to discuss how Avista is leveraging AI and machine learning to enhance everything from customer service to predictive maintenance and resource optimization. Wayne joined Avista in 2023 and currently leads the company's enterprise technology and security division, safeguards its digital assets, and ensures strong cybersecurity practices. Prior to Avista, he served as a Senior Vice President, Chief Strategy Officer, and CIO at Valley Medical Center in Renton, Washington, the largest nonprofit healthcare provider between Seattle and Tacoma. Wayne has a 35-year career spanning multiple industries, with most of that time leading digital and process transformation across several enterprises. A U.S. Army veteran, Wayne holds a BBA in Management Information Systems from the University of Alaska Anchorage and an MBA from the University of Houston, Victoria. Hi, Wayne, and thanks very much for joining us. I'm really excited to get started with this podcast. So, to start, will you describe your role at Avista and what your day-to-day looks like?
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be here with you today. So thank you for inviting me. As mentioned, I am the Chief Information Officer and Chief Security Officer. I'm accountable for our entire enterprise technology and security strategy and operations. And I spend on any given day working across those two ends of the spectrum. Also, my accountability for security includes both cyber and physical security, which is a unique combination, but it works. I lead a team of over 500 people spanning infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, it's all of our networks, all of our data centers, all of our personal computers, et cetera. All of our applications, we have about 2,000 applications, our data teams and intelligence teams, and also security. As a core member of the officer team, some of my responsibilities include co-sponsoring employee engagement, learning and development, cost management, safety, and other strategies and initiatives. It's an awesome company with fantastic people, and I'm new to the utility industry, so I've truly enjoyed my first 2 years here.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and it's who knew everybody was going to need electricity, right? It's kind of a great space to be in these days, given in particular AI and its growth. We over in the Quincy area, the data centers just keep popping up and up, and these, they're no longer 300 megawatt data centers; they're gigawatt data centers. It's impressive. We're going to need a lot of electricity, and certainly keeping it secure and reliable is important. But today we're going to talk a little bit about AI. One might ask, it's like, why would AI ever be important to electricity, right, or to an operation? But AI has kind of snuck its way into just about every industry there is. AI apparently designed my golf driver, so it's it goes into everything. But let's get started with what are some of the most impactful advancements in AI that you see for the electric sector?
Yeah. I've actually had the pleasure of working with AI since my ConocoPhillips days, back as I can recall as early as 2006, with similar use cases today, and then throughout healthcare as well, using a variety of artificial intelligence. Since I've been in Avista, I started a Gen AI work group, very focused on Gen AI, but it's actually broadened to be artificial intelligence more generically, about 2 months after I started, with the initial focus on almost a prohibition, right, to manage and mitigate some of the risk associated with generative AI. But we found that once we got together, this interdisciplinary group, we were able to get policies in place and put good controls in place. And our focus has been now on use cases and where we're going. And so we, as a group, have stratified our work into three broad categories. I think other companies can name them in different ways. So productivity, analytics, and automation. Under productivity, digital assistants like Copilots, chat GPTs, digital code assistants are just a few in this category. And we've observed examples of truly 8-fold improvements with specific tasks associated with just one of our security risk and compliance analysts. The other one, we've also seen the other end of the spectrum. When we've given some of our staff some of these tools, we've seen a 0% improvement. We can talk more about that later, but there's two ends of the spectrum there where huge improvements and the other. We also
Go ahead. I was getting excited because everybody talks about all the benefits, right? But there are some. We didn't see any benefit to it, right? So I'm going to be curious to get into some of those particulars.
Absolutely. We recently approved a digital code software assistant through the group. So the group's also not providing just oversight over policy and controls, but it's also accountable for strategy. And it's a great group. But we approved a digital code assistant that others have observed a 60% improvement in the amount of time and effort it takes to write software. And surprisingly, we still write a fair amount of software here. So, and that group, we gave them limited licenses, and they'll have to come back in 6 months to prove some of the value, but it's looking promising so far. As it pertains to like operational excellence or operational efficiencies, I tell you, we were going down a path, and I watched Google's release of Project Astra recently. I'm not sure if you or your listeners have checked that out. It's just recently. But they unveiled a truly human-like, with a personality, digital assistant that visually understands the physical world and can easily interact with people to help them identify objects like garbage truck versus a convertible car, an electric box, a shadow versus a person. I was shocked at it. It also showed an example where it looked at the bike and was able to help the person download instructions and walk them through visually and verbally how to fix the tire. Now, you start to imagine even more so how that might apply to a service worker and a maintenance worker, because we were thinking about this already and starting to go down this path with this type of an assistant, maybe paired with some special glasses, going to a transformer. And it immediately pulls up the engineering drawings, maintenance history, or step-by-step instructions for making repairs. This is how we're thinking about it, but we didn't think it was going to be here this quickly. And so it's no longer sci-fi. It's really becoming a reality. So pretty exciting stuff there. We're going to be watching that closely and seeing how quickly we can apply it. Now, in the analytics realm, especially predictive analytics, I have a long background, a lot of passion around analytics, especially around machine learning and deep learning, which I think has probably the highest ROI for the company. And leveraging tools to predict the future of how we run our operations or for key strategic decisions are where I've seen in my background across ConocoPhillips, healthcare, and now at Avista, some stuff I'll talk about later, I see the biggest opportunity. And then lastly, around automation, we've spent the last couple of years at Avista implementing and spreading robotic process automation across parts of our business with over 15,000 plus hours already so far of efficiency gains. Now, with these tools being AI enabled, and I will say become a commodity, because even the robotic process automation, they say it's low code. There's still a fair amount of work that goes into that. But this agentic AI, we believe the game will change yet again. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, right, in the AI space, whether it's, machine learning or generative AI and all these things that are really exciting to be, I'll call them productivity enhancers, right? There's always the little bit of concern is like, this is going to replace, a bunch of people or whatnot. And I think it's certainly in our industry and probably yours too. I think it's just a force multiplier. Every time we've seen automation come through our factors, we never laid off people, allowed them to operate the machines or do even more stuff. So it's pretty exciting. One of the areas you guys are using AI is in weather prediction. And that's interesting, right? We've been predicting the weather forever and ever. How does AI make predicting the weather even, I don't know, better than it was in the past? Perhaps that's a kind way to say it.
I read some articles in the past year that said, there's different spectrums of AIs and which ones humans are better at, like hairstyling or doing some different vegetation work. But weather was actually one where AI beat humans in its predictions.
Oh, really?
And so it's interesting. And so there's a lot of stats related to that. But we've actually, before, in fact, oddly enough, before I joined Avista 2 years ago, I never thought about weather. I never thought about fires other than I want to go out to the beach or protection of my family. But it's top of mind every single day at Avista, and partially because of our location in the Pacific Northwest. Predicting the location and impact of weather across locations is essential for meeting our reliability and resiliency goals every day. Avista uses AI software through a vendor that has a multitude of information sources, including weather forecasts, to predict locations and magnitudes of outages before the storms. These predictions actually enable Avista to pre-stage resources to minimize disruption and outage duration. So pretty cool tools, very mature, and they continue to evolve and get better.
So, and then the next one is we have weather, and we're really, I'm looking out at the wheat fields right now, and it's going to be pretty warm again. Maybe it's going to rain this week. I thought I heard that, but it's been very, very dry, right? So fire danger is pretty high right now, and certainly our part of the country. So we have the weather, but then we also have vegetation. How are you using AI to predict how a tree grows or vegetation might impact the power system?
Yeah, vegetation management is a really key tactic amongst many for mitigating wildfires. And we have a very robust wildfire program with dedicated teams supported from the board and all the way to the front line. And that includes our vegetation management teams. We've leveraged partnerships with AI software providers to not only predict the weather, as referenced previously, but also to provide data insights via drone imagery and LiDAR data regarding potential high-risk vegetation areas, trees, bushes, undergrowth that are fuel. This allows our vegetation management team and crews to prioritize their efforts to proactively deploy to mitigate it before it becomes a major problem. Now, similarly on wildfire, one of the changes our teams put in place last year was AI-enabled cameras at key locations on mountaintops. They're very sensitive. They can detect smoke, fire, even as small as campfires. And this allows our early detection and notification to firefighters. We actually had examples last year of campfires or garbage fires that this detected and was able to actually call the firefighters early and avoid potential risk during the high risk season.
That's really cool.
It was so successful last year. We actually are buying more cameras and installing more this year.
Yeah, that's some really interesting stuff. And then pulling a little bit more on this thread. So predictive maintenance is really every utility forever has had the thoughts about how to manage your system and your assets in the most efficient way, and predictive maintenance is certainly part of that. How is AI helping to anticipate equipment issues before they occur at Avista?
Yeah, and when I referenced ConocoPhillips, it was in that 2006, 2007 timeframe. We were experimenting with an AI company back then for this very reason. So it's been something that we've all been dreaming of for quite some time. So this has been utilizing drones to speed up asset inspection and capture images and videos for the purpose of assessing asset conditions. And we want to continue to grow that program. Of course, this process not only generates mass amounts of unstructured data to be managed, but also creates an opportunity for AI to automate the processing of such imagery and metadata. Avista piloted a project actually a few years ago to utilize image processing of our asset conditions. And one of the early lessons was it required tens and tens of thousands of pictures to train the models in a supervised manner. What's different now with the advancements of Gen AI is that the models have the capability of creating their own synthetic data and self-train without a lot of supervision. That's the big difference, because we could do this a while back. It was just a lot of supervision to train it. Instead of us providing 10,000 examples of a cracked crossarm to train the model, these technologies can generate its own synthetic images and metadata from various angles, light, dark, rain, snow, from a much smaller data set. So this is a pilot where we're actually in the process of developing right now. That's
really cool. Really cool. Can you tell us about the advanced decision support system you're using to manage your hydro resources?
Yeah. To optimize when it's best to use our hydro facilities to generate electricity or when to perform asset maintenance, right, on our dams. Avista looked at available tools in the market and really just couldn't find one that met our needs back then. This led us to building the Advanced Decision Support System, which considers over 3,700 variables with volumes and volumes of big data, such as weather forecast, water level, flow, energy and gas market prices, among many other factors to optimize generation and maintenance schedules. This product actually uses AI techniques to optimize and generate recommendations. These routines run many times per day, providing a near real-time schedule for production or maintenance across our assets. This is also a product that other utilities could benefit greatly. We have yet to fully commercialize, but we believe the potential is there as well. So pretty cool technology.
Oh, that's really interesting. Now you guys are selling products to your neighbors, I guess. I recently read how Avista is applying AI to improve customer experience. Can you walk me through that? And what's been the reaction to people interacting with AI versus interacting with a real human being?
Yeah, this is the one when you go to conferences or you read online, you hear some of the early use cases it's been in the customer space. And for us, last summer, we upgraded our IVR phone system. So, when you press 1 for that and press 2 for this, we modernized our platform to a cloud offering that had AI out of the box. And the interaction for our customers is much more natural and frictionless. And the capabilities are much more robust compared to our older system that served us well. This robust solution enabled our customers to resolve their inquiries through the phone system at a much higher level than previously possible. In fact, we improved from 50% to 63%, so as high as 63%. The next opportunity we actually see is further optimizing that with generative AI to create an even more natural and frictionless, but also to learn from our phone calls and actually train our model based on our historical calls and our current calls. Moreover, when a fellow co-sponsor and I spoke to a consulting firm this past year, they claim 90% is possible. We don't know if that's possible, but we weren't certain that a 13% improvement was possible. So we'll see.
And do you do any surveys? I mean, I guess that's where we get to the 50% or 63%. I'm just curious, right? We're using AI internally and thinking about how we want to perhaps use it for let our customers use some of these things. Like, for example, it's like, hey, I have these two products. What's the right cable to connect them up with, right? You could certainly, we have our phone system where we have a live person to answer it. But sometimes I just want to answer what the cable is. I don't want to talk to anybody, right? So we're finding our way. What's the right mix between a real person and say just self-service AI kind of applications.
Yep. Yeah, we've prided ourselves on some focus over the last several years on increasing the self-service rate. So when you combine the web and you combine this system here, we're probably greater than 92% self-service, with 8% still getting to the call center, which is still a decent volume. And our voice of the customer surveys that we send out has continued to increase over that time. It's plateauing, but there's a point of diminishing return. And so our goal is to also drive efficiencies in these areas.
One of the things that now we're getting a little off track is I'd really like to see a study from our side is what is preferred. Sometimes you go to a website and you can't ever find what the phone number is to talk to somebody, right? It would take you years to figure out if you could actually talk to somebody. So I want to make sure we have certainly for an SEL perspective, that right balance. It's like, if I want to talk to somebody, it's easy to do. If I just want to, talk to some AI, bot or something like that, it's easy to do too. So we talked a lot about all the good things that are helping make our business efficient or serving customers better. What has been your experience where AI it hasn't done as well as perhaps we expected?
Yeah. It seems to change very quickly, right? If you think it's not meeting your needs, wait a week or wait a month. But in the end, it's still software. So we, including me, I'm a passionate kind of guy, so have unrealistic expectations about the potential of these solutions. Sometimes the accuracy is more than accurate, and other times it's just garbage. And so in the digital assistant realm that I referenced earlier, the hallucinations that we've heard about are real. So you have to always verify sources. I would say that will be a differentiator for AI companies in the future for sure, right? Is really getting hold of accuracy of data. However, this AI race feels different, and I believe there are opportunities that we can't imagine possible today. So let's hold on for the ride. But I would say it's heavily in the accuracy and how much can be automated. But I'm been surprised at how quickly these technologies are changing, because I'm finding out, I heard a stat that Microsoft's engineers, 65% of the code for Windows is actually coming from AI.
That wouldn't surprise me. I saw some productivity statistics we were doing for some of our PC software we're generating, and I bet it's about 60% is what AI is generating. I got on a little kick. I'm a golfer. I'm a very bad one. But tempo is really important in your golf swing, right? And I have this app, like it's a metronome, and it's like don, 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 right? And you're supposed to swing, backswing 3 and downswing 1. And I said, well, I think I'm doing it right. Another saying in golf is, there's feel and there's real, right? I feel like I'm doing it, but that's really not happening. So I decided to write an app for my watch, right? Because it's got an accelerometer in it where I could actually have it measure, what my tempo is. And so I got on, I don't know if I used Copilot or ChatGPT or something. I said, tell me which development kit I should use and write me an app that'll give me the XYZ parameters for my watch. And literally within about 15 minutes, I had the development kit downloaded. It wrote the code for me. I compiled it, and the compiler said, "Oh, you have an error." So I sent the error back to ChatGPT, and I think it was ChatGPT. It said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Here's the right code you want to use," right? And sent it back to you. So within a half hour, I had this prototype for my app running. Now it generated a lot of code. I don't know how all that stuff's working. So I got to spend some time supervising it to really know what I'm producing. Yes. But when you talk about a knucklehead like me, right, can have an app and running in a half an hour with this tool, you talk about a productivity enhancement. That's incredible these days.
And now it's a commodity, right? Anyone can do it.
Yeah. I saw some cartoon or something on LinkedIn, and it was like two software developers talking to each other, and maybe it was a person interviewing somebody, but the joke was something to the effect of, "Oh, what do you program in? Was it C, C++? No, ChatGPT is what I program in these days." So,
yes, absolutely.
You work in a regulated industry, right? Where you have, you have to answer to some folks. How are your regulators responding to the increase of AI in your sector?
I think it's too early to judge at this point. That said, with their primary focus being on customer affordability, and that we are both seeing early employee efficiencies and anticipating many more in the long run, we believe the response will be supported.
Yeah. All utilities have their utility friends. What are you sharing with your utility friends, or what are they sharing with you about AI and how you're improving your business, or how they're improving your business?
Yeah, we share quite a bit. So I talked to a number of CIOs that I've gotten to know in the industry earlier on. Interestingly enough, some of the other groups had already developed Gen AI policies, for example, and I was able to borrow from that. We are planning on here at our innovation lab hosting an AI day, and we're actually going to invite other vendors, but also invite other utility partners to come over and participate. So we've been able to hear some of the different use cases related to streamlining our regulatory processes even, right? There's a lot of documents, right? This is where these tools really excel in helping leverage some of our historical documents to generate new documents as well.
This is an investor-owned utility, so you're kind of a big dog in the electric industry, if you will. But you also help and serve co-ops or other smaller utilities like Kootenai Electric or Inland Power and stuff. What's the adoption in say those smaller co-ops and other smaller utilities, if you will?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to them in detail about this. One of the areas, though, that I really liked about the utility since I moved here, is the whole mutual aid concept, right? And we've already started in the Pacific Northwest, including some of the PUDs and co-ops and others, and investor-owned utilities, creating a cybersecurity mutual aid program. And I expect there's an opportunity for us also in the AI space to do the same. But I haven't got a chance to really get into with some of the smaller areas and co-ops to really talk to them in detail about AI. But definitely, for sure, they're very interested in cyber for sure.
Usually when we get to the end of a podcast, we ask the guest to predict out 5 or 10 years, whatever it may be, small modular reactors or new technologies or something like that. And I don't know why we picked 5 to 10. It seems like good numbers kind of stuff. I'm going to ask you, where do you envision AI transforming the industry for the next 5 to 10 years? And I'm almost going to make a caveat. It's 5 or 10 years in AI, the way it's progressing is forever. right? And
Yep.
I'd even go, where do you see it a year from now or 2 years from now? 5 years or 10 years is, I don't know, I think anybody could predict what AI would look like that far out. So I'll
Yep.
roll it back in 1 to 3 years.
Sure. Yeah. In that same space, 5 to 10 years is way too far. And so, in fact, 2 years ago, when I was looking at what they call artificial general intelligence, which is what you would see in the movies, right? That is 50 plus years out. And now with how these things are writing its own code and building upon knowledge across the globe, that we're going to see some forms of that in that 5 to 10 year range, which is, for me, it's both exciting, right, as a former software developer, but also scary, right? And so even myself as an innovator, right, I fancy myself as an innovator, get a little nervous about that. That said, I think it's going to be mind-boggling as to how everything has changed. We will likely be having a conversation with our computer versus using a keyboard. I think a keyboard will be a thing of the past. It's going to be as seamless or frictionless as having a conversation like you and I are having today. And I think that's going to be the fundamental change. I've shared some examples of where we think it's going to be applicable in some of our operational areas, in some of our back office business areas, having agents that are doing financial close, for example. That's happening today. And I think it will continue to happen both through the software vendors, but also through agents that get created in the organization. But how we interact with technology will be a conversation. I won't have to even know how to do, today I have to know how to still prompt. Mm-hmm. I have to know how to write an accurate prompt. I think it's going to become so natural that I don't even have to think about the prompt. It's going to anticipate what I'm asking. It's going to understand the small nuances in my voice and what I was asking. So I think that's where we're going to see the big change is, and the utility space, having worked in so many other places, is a little slower to adopt technology than, say, other fields. But this digital revolution is happening everywhere. And I would say the utilities is no exception. And we fancy ourselves at Avista as being an innovative company, and I believe in it. And so will we be on the cutting edge of it? I'm not sure. We'll probably be a fast follower. But there may be cases like ADSS and others where we have to.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of different parts of your business, right? The business side, back office business side versus, the generation, transmission, and distribution of electricity, right? Which really different types. I could see you being a little bit conservative on the generation and distribution side, and maybe a little bit more progressive or advanced on the business office stuff, right? And it's I think every industry or every business is going to have those same considerations. But I'm with you 100%. AI is here to stay. It's going to be a productivity multiplier. I have some people that are a little concerned that we may lose some jobs and stuff, and that may be the case. It'll be every time we put in some automation, jobs shift, if you will. But I think at the end of the day, we're all going to be really busy, probably doing maybe things a little bit differently than we had in the past. But I'm excited for it. I'm not one of these, that what is this Skynet takes over and all of that stuff. I could be wrong. I don't know. I've been wrong before, but I don't think that's going to happen either.
Yep, I'm with you. I've had the same thought process, and even in history, when I've led teams and we automate things, there was always that fear. I mean, I can think of examples 20 plus years ago that I was telling my teams we need to automate some of these things, and they were fearful of the same reasons. And in that case, in those instances, we didn't lay off people. Their work shifted. Yep. Their work absolutely shifted. And I think that will actually be the case. We just don't know what it looks like yet.
I think the only difference when we see automation, like when we automated our manufacturing plant with machines to put circuit boards together and whatnot, the only difference I'm really seeing the speed with which AI is taking place, right? That is, to me, the only, it is moving fast. So
Indeed.
All right.
Indeed.
Wayne, thanks so much for the conversation. I'll have to have you back in a year to see how your predictions are and where we're at with AI. But appreciate the conversation, and thanks for sharing your experience with all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping by Schweitzer Drive. Join us again as we learn about, explore, and celebrate electric power. For more information about the show, please visit selinc.com/ Schweitzer Drive.